right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to second half of our Internet 2.0 conference day one. We are going to immediately move on to our next segment, which is a fireside chat. And speakers will shed light on the topic of automation of security analysis with IoT. Can I please have on stage Satyam Sheth, co-founder and director of Wimera Systems, and Irfan Shakeel, the VP of OPSWAT. Can we please have you on stage? Thank you.
Well, everyone, hello and good afternoon. And I believe that you guys have eaten well and now will full of energy are waiting to hear the next talk. And today we are going to talk about the automation security with IoT. And before we get into that topic, I would like to introduce myself and my friend here. He's going to also introduce so that you guys can connect with us easily. And do you want to go with your introduction?
So I'm Satyam Sheth from Wimera Systems. I'm a co-founder and director based out of Singapore. Uh, Simply, we are just solving the basic fundamental problem for manufacturing industry to help the all legacy machine and smart machinery and bring the data and provide the advanced analytics and predictive maintenance. So I think the a very interesting subject, which is means how IoT and cybersecurity right to go connected and adoptions in the multiples industry.
Well, this is Irfan, and currently I'm working as a vice president training and certification at OPSWAT. And just a little bit background about the company OPSWAT. OPSWAT is a global leader in critical infrastructure cybersecurity protection. OPSWAT offers solutions, hardware and software both, and services to protect the critical assets. And if I say the critical infrastructure, for example, in US, the government defines the critical infrastructure as a 16 sectors, for example, dams, grid stations, chemical, health, transportation, and public sectors, and the other as well. So I primarily deal with the training and certification, means education. So prior to joining OPSWAT, I have been running a company called eHacking. I basically founded eHacking, and I founded eHacking back in 2010 when cybersecurity was just starting and people were getting interested in cybersecurity. So I've turned that blog, basically it was a blog, into a full-time business. And I have taught more than 400,000 people worldwide. And yeah, that's my background. And so today, primarily, we will be discussing about the IoT and how IoT is affecting the millions of lives around the world. And Satyam, what do you think about the adoption of the IoT devices?
Uh, See now, everybody is talking about IoT industry 4.0, right? And it's a very wider words actually. So what I have seen last 2 to 3 years, you look at before pandemic, before COVID start, right? Look at the fintech, healthcare, logistics. Those industry they started their adoptions quite long time back, or they are in the transformation journey. But 2 3 years, which is you look at the one of the industry which is manufacturing, which is very traditional way approach, and they have even not started journey because they have old machineries, the shop floor and productions. People they cannot adoptions the data. So that's one of the biggest challenge we have seen in the manufacturing industry. Okay, either is a process or discrete manufacturing. So I think Irfan, this is what we feel that these are one of the industry which has been quite isolated, and there are multiple reasons we are talking about how the machinery data how they are going to affect in the security perspective. So this is the biggest challenge we have seen.
Yeah, definitely. As my friend said or described about the industrial or manufacturing segment, I would like to take the opportunity to get it to the another, the next level, because frankly speaking, yes, IoT and even the manufacturing sector, the industrial, they if compromised, they are going to be affected by the cyber attacks. However, if it's compromised, then the home users are also going to be affected by the cyber attacks because the IoT or the connected devices uh, the adoption is like billions of devices people are using. Just think about their thermostat, the smart bulbs, LEDs. Just think about the smart refrigerators. So it's all about smart. Now we are even talking about the smart cities. So all of these devices are connected with the internet, which means they are going to introduce another level of threat. Just think about a home user who has no idea about the cybersecurity. If compromised, their CCTV camera, their connected devices, their smartwatch being hacked by hackers, then just imagine that the hackers can access to all these data. And it's not just only about the data, the privacy as well. Just think about your sitting in a conference and somewhere around the world, a hacker sitting somewhere, any other location of the world and can access to maybe a camera here and can see us live. Just think about it. Just think about the industrial segment, as my friend mentioned about the infrastructure, the manufacturing segment. Just think about the smart factories. A production is having uh, companies. They are making. Let's talk about the oil and gas industry. If gets breached, the hacker can access or can even halt the entire production, the entire company, which means that these attackers now by hacking the or by breaching the security of IoT, they can halt the entire nation. Just think about if someone hacked into the net dam. Just think about the grid station. If it's being hacked, you will be without electricity. So the IoT security is not only affecting the home users, it's affecting the government, private sectors, even everyone. So yeah, the next step, probably let's talk about the business applications because we are all coming from a business background. I've discussed or described about the technical or the disasters that can happen, but now let's talk about the business implications, the ROI and other stuff.
I think I'm just going to make this discussion more, between with you actually, right? I also want to understand your thoughts. We've been faced last few years challenges when we started the project in a IoT space on the manufacturing industry. So key 5 point which is we have seen on the ground levels. Okay, I want to hear from you in your experience, your knowledge. What do you think one of the point, if you can tell me at least? I just want to know, then I will just give you the idea what kind of the use case study, what problem we face on the ground level. Can you tell me one of the challenge, biggest challenge in a manufacturing industry when IoT adoption is very low? Yes, correct. Anyone?
Actually, like Manohar and we talked earlier about security. So IoT and security are the two sides of coin. So
Yes.
it will be 110% we need to tackle on that. Otherwise, it will be difficult to like manage in future. That was the key point. We need to consider that.
Correct.
Okay,
Any other?
okay, one more question. Let's say since many of people, are sitting here, coming from cybersecurity background, so I would also like to know your opinion that why it's happening, why the attackers are successfully exploiting the IoT devices. What are the causes?
I think it's not just about security, it's more about the complexity that happens. So everything is evolving really fast. And basically, to have the right person at firm where installation happens or development happens, that might be an issue. But then next to that, I wanted to ask a question that popped up earlier from this morning. We had a session about W3 and we had a session about platforms and now IoT. See, these W3 and IoT goes really well together, as in it's actually designed for, let's say, devices to pay to devices. That's something that does happen right now, but still there is a reach from the company or let's say the platform that controls those devices. But these devices are getting more and more independent, and that's what the concept of IoT is. So have you guys had any kind of inquiries about that, say requests for development, or are the guidelines, standards for, say, to simplify it, devices paying to devices?
I think you make a very nice point, right? Standardizations, okay, and the best practice, which is one of the biggest challenge. You look at now, any manufacturing company, right? There are different kind of a machine, different kind of a models. Okay, we are talking about Siemens machines, Toshiba machines, any CNC machine or welding machines, any machines, right? The biggest challenge, standardizations. There is no standardizations, and before even start the security. The why? Because of the security threats are there, because there is no standardizations. That is one of the biggest challenge. Another challenge, which is, you look at when shop floor people, right, production manager, they they have a insecurity about job. They don't want to do the kind of adoptions, where their boss or production manager to monitor what exactly they are doing. So the communications between software manager to top management, that is very low. It's not going in a very structured way, because sometimes machine is running, right? Machine is ideal. He go for lunch, he don't communicate. How do we know that machinery is running? So that's easily affect your production cycles, your efficiency of machineries and everything. So that is a one part, the business point of view. And the top on that, where when they start, okay, the company started the adoptions of IoT, then second thread about the security. And we talk about both prospect, discrete manufacturing and process manufacturing, right? And the biggest challenge, I think, discrete manufacturing is still okay, require a basic fundamental security, right? And that's what I'm going to ask the question to you. What do you think? Because process manufacturing, which is industry like talking about oil and energy, and it's a very difficult and they have a threat and is a very vulnerable. So can you just give me the idea about that process and discrete manufacturing, right, in the security component point of view?
Well, I'll definitely come into that point. However, I would like to extend to what my friend there asked. Uh, that's the biggest challenge, the standardization and the because what happened initially, just think about the internet. It's happening just like the internet. Initially, when internet was there in 90s, there was clear text protocol, and they they did not design the internet with the security in mind. They were focusing on the usability. The same thing happened with the IoT. When IoT devices, the companies, they started manufacturing the IoT devices, they were focusing on the usability rather than the security. What happened at that time? There were not a single standardized process, neither frameworks, which means that all the companies, they adopted their own methodologies, they developed. And once they felt that the attacks started happening, just think about the Mirai botnet attack, which exploited billions of connected devices. Now the companies are more focusing towards the security as well. Still, we are not there yet. The kind of security solutions the IT system has, for example, the firewall, IPS, and other stuff, the IoT devices still, these devices don't have that kind of security mechanism. Even some of the devices, believe me, they are not even enforcing the strong password, which means that if you are using a weak password, just like ABC, they are allowing you to use it, which is again a security issue. So one thing is the lack of standardization, the world's recognized framework. However, it's happening. Organizations, the manufacturers, they are now focusing on the security as well. Now, coming to your point, the security challenges that industrial manufacturer, all the industries are facing. Just think about now. Initially, the production and manufacturing, they were not connected with the internet. They were isolated network. Just think about the air-gapped network, not connected with the internet. However, due to the advancement of technology, these production facilities, all of these devices are now being connected with the internet, which means it's really good, and it's now increasing the accessibility. While sitting at your home, you can monitor your production site. However, it's also introduced the security risk. As my friend mentioned there, the security implication, just think about there was in 2015, let's say, the nuclear plant in Iran being attacked by Stuxnet malware. And it's sabotaged the entire nuclear program of the Iran system. And it's been happening. Just think about recently in the Russian-Ukraine war, the Ukrainian grid station being shut down, and more than 400,000 people were left out without electricity. And it's now gradually happening because of the interconnected devices. All the devices in the manufacturing, in the production sector, are now connected with the internet, which means they are exposed. They are exposed to, of course, they are exposed to access remotely. However, if being exploited, they are now accessible by the hackers as well. So the IoT itself is really good. And if I talk about the industrial, so it's called IIoT, industrial IoT. It's the same thing, just the sensors, these are connected with the internet, sending data real time to the cloud. So where the cloud comes, of course, it's beneficial. It's beneficial. It eases the process. However, it introduces the security risk as well, and it's the biggest threat to the industrial segment, not only manufacturing, the entire industrial segment.
Yeah, correct, exactly. Uh, Another point which is we've been talking about, the industry, as you mentioned, all the industry, oil and gas, energy, or manufacturing, process or discrete manufacturing, right? Uh, Adoptions, right? And another things, company, in the Asia Pac or Southeast Asia, or you talk about global, right? Where educations, people are still not aware about in terms of the adoptions, right? Where exactly the where generally sometimes we require educations. I'll give you one of the example, the use case study, which is we face the problem, and we thought before talking with the customer, you always required your management buying actually, right? The top management. When you go any digital transformation journey, we're talking about any technology. If you don't have a buy-in from the management, it's very difficult. And when we started, I can't disclose the client name, but one of the largest switchgear manufacturing company in Philippines. And we started talking with this chairman. He said, I want to start, the adoption of completely industry IoT 4.0 in my factory. Uh, we started the project actually with them, and literally the shop floors, production people, operation peoples, they got to know something is going on, and their support was zero. Okay, management, the chairman, finance, everybody come together, and they have done the entire, they support such a way they complete the entire project within a 3 to 4 weeks time. And when the moment they can see the all monitoring process, OE, productivity, everything goes down, and they got a smell before 1 month back. So effectiveness exactly. And the moment they started the adoption, again question came from how, because see, people think about, okay, now data go on the cloud, now what about my security? Again the questions will come from the management side, how to manage those security, cloud perspective, device perspective, and connected perspective. So just can you highlight, Irfan, the two parts. One thing, what type of security, right? Which is you feel that suitable for those manufacturing or other industry for that
Well, in that area, basically, if I talk about the security components,
component.
then of course, first, whenever we connect an IoT or any connected devices with the internet, by default, it is accessible online, which means if you are any of you aware of the search engine called Shodan, and there are similar search engines? No? Yeah. So just think about that. By using Shodan, you can search millions of connected devices online, and with and the people working or connecting these devices in the industrial segment or even home users, they are not aware of this. So first hardening tips is to turn off that default setting, turn off all the defaults, settings like guessable passwords, default passwords. And one of the important factor of the IoT security and even the IoT security analysis is the firmware analysis itself, the software. Because IoT, when we see the connected devices, these are hardware. Of course, is being operational by with the help of software. So the software by design, they are not secure. There are bugs. Researchers are now hunting bugs. So the bug hunting program, they are hunting bugs. They are doing the firmware analysis, the reverse engineering to discover the bugs. The software itself, again, it's not secure. And frankly speaking, none of the software they are 100% secure. Even your Android devices, your Windows, your Apple, all of these software usually gets exploited. Now while however IoT, in fact, especially, they are not secure. So it is one of the good practice to keep up to date, keep your devices up to date, keep check over there. And secondly, make them to not accessible. However, apart from all these hardening tips, one more important aspect is the threat modeling. So if you are installing any of these devices in your facility, you must do the threat analysis. what kind of threat a particular device can possess. Is it like, if exploited, what could happen? Is it dangerous? Could it cause any fatal accident or something like that? If I'm talking about the production, if it's being exploited, and it might affect your privacy. Just think about the camera. I've given the example before. So this is part of the threat modeling. You need to understand what sort of threat a particular connected device is posing or can cause if being exploited. Apart from this, another good practice is to conduct the pen testing, which is a regular exercise of finding the vulnerabilities in your network. So if IoT is connected with the network, then you must consider or adopt the penetration testing approach. If you have the technical resources, then you can do it on your own. Otherwise, you can hire a third-party agency to do that. It is the exercise to find the vulnerabilities in the system, not even in the system, throughout the network as well. So it's gonna save you from the cyber attacks, and also from getting fined by the government if you are not following the compliance and the other framework. So having said that, all of these things that I've discussed, the technical stuff, they have impact. They are going to impact the business. So if I talk about the ROI and the KPI that specifically the manufacturing industry companies are seeking, what do you have here?
Before you are asking question to me, I want to hear from audience. Can you just give me the, is talking about ROI, right? What is the key top priority, right? People always talk about cost versus revenue, right? Means anybody just want to go for the industry 4.0 or digital transformation journey, right? End of the day, dollar value, right? Rest of the thing is story, garbage in, garbage out. So what do you think in terms of the ROI? Means what exactly the management they would like to see the ROI when they go the adoptions this kind of technology? Anyone? Correct. I think is a excellent point, and both is interrelated where we're talking about top line approach, right? That exactly where C-level buying. Without that is very difficult. Sometimes we go for bottom line approach, but this kind of technology, that's what the example which I have given, right? Which is we have faced the real problem. If you have a top line approach where C-level is okay, less we want to go ahead, and entire organizations, either is a production department or HR or finance, you need to take these adoptions. You have to do it, right? As a part of the education, need to change the mindset. Example, people just so comfort in their day-to-day life, they don't want to do new adoptions because 9 to 6 job, let's finish. So that's the biggest challenge. And exactly you said, right, is the top line approach is not there. So productions manager executive levels buy-in is required. Second thing we've seen exactly now ROI in terms of the productivity. Okay, means today uh, I have a 50 or 200 machines in my factory. Okay, it's simple. If I don't do the maintenance. Okay, sometimes machine is running, machine is breakdown, is going to affect my productions, and we will not see immediately effect, but the one day two machine is breakdown, and your production is stopped, then you realize what kind of the cost is effect. So whatever you are investing, you're investing $10 against the what the loss you have. Okay, so long-term prospective planning. Okay, my operation cost, my maintenance cost. If machine is breakdown, my utilizations consumption is low, your energy consumption is low. What can I do, right? Exactly. So those kind of the fundamentals problem, the company would like to solve. And when we talk about our all the technology peoples, right? When talk about the digital transformation journey, we should go and focus the fundamental problems. Okay, I'm very the reluctant when we talk about advanced analytics, predictive, prevent maintenance, right? I always feel that there is no data, then we can't talk about predictive or prevent maintenance, right? Because there, without data, you cannot do predict anything. Because the fundamental problem, we are not getting the data. Sometimes you have a data, means most of the company, they buy sensors, they buy devices, machine is not connected, they have a data, but data is unstructured. So how you can do the predictive or prevent maintenance, right? So exactly we said fundamentals problem, top line buying required. Second thing, to structure such a way how you can going to reduce those machine breakdown, operations, maintenance, your productivity, how you're going to improve, right? So that is what exactly we can see the ROI. And then we talk about the capex or opex model, how many percentage we are going to reduce. Just investing X amount, can we go X minus one? So those kind of the questions.
Uh, One more thing, I have another question linked with your one, since you have been doing that. So if I talk about the Wimera, like the firm that you are representing, so since you guys are into this industry 4.0, the IoT implementation, how are you guys solving all these challenges that we have just discussed?
Yeah, so I think not me. I think we all working in a different industry, right? And we have seen the fundamental problems. What the customer is looking, right? Means when we talk about industry IoT 4.0 or cyber security, right? A lot of company, either in the service space or product perspective, if you try to do bit and pieces, means somebody is providing a hardware service, somebody providing network service, some the clouds, somebody has the devices and advanced analytics, right? Customer, they don't want to see different kind of a vendors, right? They want to say who somebody can come and solve my problems. Exactly, we're talking about then ROI and adoptions and transformation journey we're talking about, right? So what we have seen last 2 to 3 years, right? We just providing complete end-to-end solutions, starting from the sensors. We have our IoT gateways, where if machinery is legacy machines, and most of the manufacturing company, the machinery life is 15 to 20 years, 25 years, either CNC machine, injection molding, any machines, right? And bringing the data from old machinery is a big challenge. And most of the manufacturing company, even they have 100 machines, there are 70 to 80% legacy machine, 20 to 30% smart machinery. So the way we design, we can bring the data, any machines, anywhere, any kind of data. Either if you have a temperature sensor or any sensors, we can bring the data, and top on that, provide the advanced analytics. So basically, industry 4.0 best practice report is very important. So it's just like when this company started the adoptions, they don't need to do any customize or anything. So hardware and software combinations along with sensor, which is give the completely solutions, and adoptions go very fast.
Um, Even though that it's been happening, you guys are doing that, a lot of other companies are doing that, other people are doing that. However, I believe that the point that this friend raised, the sea level problem, I believe this is not just related to the IoT or adoption of the IoT. It's like, although we are seeing in the news that organizations are getting hacked, breached, However, still the C level, they are not investing the funds, they are not allocating the funds, they are not getting the right resources to protect their organization. It's not only about the manufacturing, or it's about all the segments. Just think about recently Uber got hacked again. It's been happening again and again. But the problem is that the C-level executive, the you know top top to down approach, the problem is there. They are not investing. They are not allocating the right resources. They are not giving the funds. Uh, they are not even realizing it. They consider it as an investment which is not getting any return, because of course the cybersecurity people, they are not doing any business until unless it's a cybersecurity solution provider. So they are not generating any revenue, they are not doing sales. Of course they are protecting the customer, the organization assets. This is one of the very important thing, but they only realize once they get hacked. That's the problem. The problem is there, the C level. They need to realize that why it is very important to protect the assets, why it is really important to protect the connected devices. Not only the connected devices, just think about your web solutions, your cloud solutions. Gentlemen, they have been talking about the cloud, they have been talking about the SaaS and IaaS and other stuff. Of course, security there as well. You need to protect your data, you need to protect your organization privacy. So that's a C-level problem, and of course it needs to be addressed, and it's going to be addressed by all of us. We need to educate people. We need to educate all the people whom we are meeting, and we need to educate. We need to create more, let's say, educational or awareness sessions, so that we need to convince our executives that they need to invest into these cybersecurity solutions. Now, having said that, as far as the implementation is concerned, let's say, again, let's go back to the manufacturing. So we have discussed the KPI, we have discussed the ROI. What do you think there? What sort of approach can someone working as, let's say, as a manager can use or adopt to convince the VP or any executive to implement the security solutions?
I think a lot of people, even I'm just hearing from morning, right? A lot of people come with a software background and technical background, right? Not a single company want to heard about the customizations, right? Okay, we don't want, the moment you talk about customizations, to do the moment you talk about the project cycle 5 to 6 months, right? Nobody want to heard. Now today, everybody is thinking like mobile apps. How my solution be plug and play? I can put something, I can get the results, that's all. Even they don't want to wait 1 month, 2 months to get the result, right? So again, my point to come the standardizations. If you have a standardizations, best practice, right? See, when we talk about any applications, right? The mobile applications, right? Grab or Uber or anything, which is, we open the applications, transaction is finished, everything is done. But we're talking about the industrial solutions. And industrial solution today in the world, nobody can say I have a complete end-to-end solutions, right? When we talk about company like SAP or Oracles or any large ERP applications, even they have started, they realize, okay? They've realized only ERP applications or back office solution is not going to solve their digital transformation journey, okay? And they have started, to kind of a handshake with the few startup, which is they started a new technology, right? Yeah, and they have done a handshake, how jointly we can work together, right? And give the industry best practice. So that exactly, I'm talking.
I would like to stop there. So you have mentioned the industry best practices. We have been discussing the compliance. So what do you think that are we going to adopt any standard compliance for IoT worldwide? Is it happening?
Yeah, exactly. So means as I said, right, and based on our experience and I've seen the ground level, we should always start with the basic fundamental problems, right? If you try to go on the moon day one, it's very difficult, right? So we always tell the customer is, you want to start the journey, start with the fundamental problem. If you have a 5 machine, 10 machine, 15 machine, what is the key basic challenges or what the basic parameters they want to see? What customer want? Quick ROI, quick result, and then they can start their journey. See, this is not just like you can start the project free. This is a journey, and this journey is going to be not happen within a 3 or 6 months. It's a long journey where exactly kind of a marriage, right? And that marriage you want to make a successful, you need to be go together. I There is no kind of a customer or vendor relations. So what we have done, we make a standardizations for IoT industry 4.0, and we have seen the success story, not one, two, we have 25 clients. Within a 40 to 45 minutes, 50 minutes, we help them to bring the Masani data. And after 50 minutes, we can challenge them, open your mobile applications, you can get all your industry 4.0 report, which is for the best practice. So we just doing like, keep doing, and focus in specific on the manufacturing sectors. As I said, we are still improving. We are not 100% where we are there, but 70, 80% today, customer feel that, okay, if I get something within a 1 hour or 2 hours, basic parameters, then he can get the confidence and start the journey. So as I said, again, we talk about standardizations, adoptions, and then you can start your journey.
So, now I would like to take input from the audience as well. Any question or anything?
Yeah, hi. I'm Ashutosh.
Yeah.
We're talking about IoT, and with IoT, I think comes a lot of data. So, is there any way that based on those data, or maybe some algorithms or some artificial intelligence, we can predict those security threats in advance? Is there any mechanism or a way?
Well, of course, you're talking about the threat intelligence domain.
Right.
There is a domain within the cybersecurity. Again, as I said, it's called the threat intelligence, which means that their job is to predict a cyber attack before it happens. So it's not this threat intelligence or threat modeling is not only about the IoT. It's only about all the other stuff. What they do, they keep they're keeping their eye in the dark net, behind the door, and they know that there are certain groups, organized cybercrime gangs, working, and they are exploiting these devices. So threat modeling or the threat researchers, their job is to keep an eye on the emerging threats and do and inform the blue teaming concept. I'm not sure that you guys are aware of this. The blue teaming concept means there are certain people, their job is to defend the organization. Now, how do they defend? They work on the base of the intelligence that they gather from the threat intelligence team. Threat intelligence team, they have different threat fields. They have different malware fields from where they fetch their information that this malware is exploiting in the wild. And we, being an organization, we are using these devices. For example, just think about vulnerability in a certain model of a smartwatch. And if the information is out that this model is being now exploited in the wild, then it's the threat intelligence job to keep their organization up to date and keep all their devices updated with the recent framework. And if the update is not available, then they must have a backup plan to move on to another devices, because they don't want to also disrupt the operation. However, meanwhile, they want to secure their information as well. So this is the job of the threat management team, because there are different roles like threat intelligence analysis. There are some open source analysts as well. So they are using open source mediums, just like, think about all the information out there, free information. You just need to know how to utilize these information to predict the cyber attack.
Right. So basically, they collect the data from various sources and have it centrally located and visualize that, right?
Yes. For example, there are SIEM devices. There are some indicator of compromise. It's called IOC. You need to find out that indicator. If you're getting that indicator, then by using the automated solution, you need to stop right there. For example, if you know that port number 23 is being now exploiting, then you need to stop that right there.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Any questions? Yeah. Correct.
Okay, as far as the this question is goes, for example, you have mentioned a framework being managed by Amazon for the for its own product. For example, S3 bucket you're talking about. Now, all of these organizations, for example, if I talk about the Google Cloud, they have their own set of rules. However, again, this is being provided by the vendors, not generalized, not the industry standard. However, there are some industry standard as well. Now, if I talk about the general information and cybersecurity, there are NIST, it's been NIST NIST framework out there, and there is another model called MITRE attack model. You need to create your organization security based on these models. These are generalized model and can be applicable to any environment. However, there are vendor-specific model as well. Even if I talk about only cloud at the moment, then OAPS, it's basically, OAPS released top 10 security attacks with the guide and a model for all the domains. Like it's for the web application as well, it's for the mobile application as well, it's for the cloud as well. So OWASP, if you search online, you'll find tons of information. It's very general, applicable without the restriction of any vendor, which means that if you search OAPS mobile security guide, which means that you can implement all these rules without the restriction of the vendor. Either it's going to be iOS, it's going to be Android, or any other operating system. Similarly, if you go for OAPS cloud security model, then you will be able to implement all these security rules without the restriction of the vendors, such as maybe Azure, AWS, cloud, and so on.
And again, is it industry to industry? Because depend upon the every those industry, right? You go and healthcare, the patient data is important, manufacturing, machine data is important, right? So industry, the security, has to be changed actually. But exactly said, there is no framework. There is no standard framework.
Again, security industry to industry, the deep down of course varies, but they generalized, of course there are some general information that can be applicable to all the industries. For example, you have mentioned the governance. So there are some GRC rules. It's called the governance, risk and compliance, which means that you need to follow all the compliance. And there are some written set of rules. If you will not follow the compliance, then you'll be fined by the government authorities. So of course, yes, industry to industries varies. As I said, that OAPS release guide for mobile and different guide for the cloud. Of course, cloud is different than mobile. You need to adopt different set of practices, different, let's say permission, set of rules. However, there are some general rules to protect your asset. Again, as I said, the GRC, it's the governance, risk, and the compliance.
Good. Any questions? Yep.
Hi. You rightly mentioned about the adoption levels of Industry 4.0 and the challenges, right? One of the question I have is with the kind of adoption levels in the manufacturing and process industries and the cyber security coming into the place, what level of security that is required on the IoT front against, how would you see the difference between software security and the IoT security? What's your view on where the software, if you see the cloud, the kind of computing power and the kind of processing and the memory versus the IoT devices, where the cost and the product cost, of course, gets into a key critical parameter, right? So how do you see the software quality versus the IoT quality in terms of security?
Okay, I'll take this to point in it to one hardware side and a software side. What we have seen, you look at the OEM, the people are doing the OEM manufacturing, right? They were on their protocols and models, the connectors, right? They secure very well, and that is the biggest challenge because they don't allow you to do any interface, and where exactly the security threat will come which is more on the hardware and device side, right? The software side, as we said, still because software is generally go on your cloud or either is a locally on premises, right? You can still able to manage. But when data coming from the machinery perspective, where original OEM systems, right, where the lot of controls and where exactly the challenges which is coming from that.
And one more point is about, you have mentioned the hardware and software. When we talk about the software, for example, it's your IoT, either it's your computer. At the end of the day, these are hardware devices. However, they are being operated by a software. Of course, there are different softwares created on different programming languages, and they follow different set of rules. However, they are prone to the same sort of attacks. For example, now let's talk about the hardware first. I mentioned the IoT pen testing earlier. There is also a concept called physical pen testing, which means that you need to check your parameter physically as well. Maybe if you are well secured, you are using the world-class firewall, nobody can access your server. But what if someone physically comes and get your server and go away? Go home and take your servers? Physical security is also important. You need to protect all your assets. Now think about your cell phone. You are going in a conference by using your, you are having your laptop and you forgot your laptop. Somebody came and just snatched the laptop and you are having the confidential information. Just think about even if you're not having the confidential information, but your laptop can connect to the corporate server, which means that if someone, some malicious person can access your laptop, which means he can access to the corporate network, corporate data and everything. So the physical security is as important at the hardware security is as important as the software security. So
I think we are running behind the time. So if you have any further questions, please contact me and Irfan, and we can discuss further. Thanks.
definitely. Thank you, guys.
Irfan and Satyam, thank you very much, gentlemen.